All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome to week 12 of the 2021 Meac Weekly Football Coaches Video Conference. I am Karen Carty, the Assistant Commissioner for Media Relations here at the Mid-Eastern Athletic Conference Office, and I will serve as the moderator for today's meeting. I'd like to remind everyone that to ask a question, please use the raise hand feature in Zoom, and when acknowledged, please state your name and indicate the media outlet you are representing. Before we hear from our head coaches, we will hear from Mr. Jeff Cunningham, the MEAC's Director of Media Relations, who will provide us with some updates and MEAC notes. Jeff?
Thank you and good morning. Jared Lewis passed for 3 touchdowns and Savion Wilkerson rushed for another on Saturday as Delaware State overcame a 26-0 halftime deficit to defeat Norfolk State 28-26 at Alumni Stadium and eliminate the Spartans from MEAC championship consideration. North Carolina Central, meanwhile, stayed alive in the MEAC title hunt with a 45-27 win over Howard, a game in which the Eagles rushed for 293 yards, and Latrell Collier and Davius Richard each rushed for 2 touchdowns. Elsewhere, MEAC leader South Carolina State fell 27-17 in non-conference action to North Carolina A&T State, despite 160 rushing yards and a touchdown from Kendrell Flowers, and Morgan State fell 41-14 to Ualbany. This Saturday, MEAC Countdown to Kickoff, presented by Coca-Cola, will be live from Norfolk State University for its final show of the season in advance of the Spartans' regular season finale against South Carolina State, where the Bulldogs will look to win the MEAC championship outright on their way to Atlanta. Join hosts Charlie Neal and Nicole Hutchison at 12 p.m. live on ESPN Plus as they interview both head coaches, special guests, and break down the entire weekend of MEAC football action. This weekend will also mark the 2021 MEAC Volleyball Championship, hosted by Howard University at Byrd Gymnasium from Friday to Sunday. Howard and Delaware State are MEAC regular season co-champions after each team went 12-2 in MEAC play this season. Be sure to check out Championship Central at meacsports.com later today for the official seeding announcement. Friday's quarterfinal round will begin at 11 a.m., with Saturday's semifinals getting underway at 5 p.m. and Sunday's championship match at 8 p.m. The championship match on Sunday will be broadcast live on ESPNU. With the first week of the 2021-22 MEAC basketball season underway, both Howard and Norfolk State are 3-0 in the men's standings. The Bison defeated Bradley this past Saturday, 76-64, while defending champion Spartans are coming off a 66-59 win over Tennessee State. On the women's side, Coppin State and Norfolk State are 2-1. Coppin State opened the season with wins over LaSalle and William and Mary, and Norfolk State defeated Campbell this past Thursday. For more information on the MEAC and its 16 sponsored sports, please visit meacsports.com. You can also follow the MEAC on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok at MEAC Sports, and subscribe to the MEAC Digital Network on YouTube.
Thank you, Jeff. Now we'll get right into it with our coaches, beginning with Coach Larry Scott from Howard. Good morning, Coach Scott. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. All right, Coach. The Bison jumped out to a 14-7 lead over North Carolina Central after the first quarter, but couldn't overcome the 24-14 deficit y'all faced at halftime. Please recap the game for us.
I think we came out. We wanted. It was a game that we just wanted to come out and start fast, and I thought we did that. Then we made a couple mistakes there defensively that gave them an early score. Offensively, we came out and kind of wanted to establish some of the things we wanted to, and did a good job of that. But a 17-point swing in the second quarter going into half kind of hurt us right there, and it took kind of all of the momentum in which they were able to grasp. We did a good job of grasping the momentum and holding on to it. And finishing the game with establishing the run game and those type of things. So kudos off to Coach Oliver and North Carolina Central. They came in and really, once they got the momentum of the game, didn't let it go and did a good job finishing.
All right. Despite the loss, quarterback Quinn Williams had a great game, completing 21 of his 31 passes for 313 yards and a touchdown while rushing for another 38 yards. What does the future look like for him?
He's just getting better and better each week, and then everything's a learning lesson. He left the game last week in South Carolina State in the first quarter with a concussion. Didn't play the rest of that game and was really limited in what he could do all week in practice, but did a really good job mentally, kind of staying down at the end of the game plan with meetings and his notes and watching film and doing those type of things, and came out and kind of really did a good job managing the game. And those type of things, dislocated his thumb in the other hand. So he's just been a good job mentally of just continuing to fight through things mentally and physically, and came out and did some really nice things for us. And it helps that some of the other guys around him offensively play well, raise their level of play a little bit too. We're not where obviously we're not where we want to be and falling in the right side of the column, but there's definitely some things we need to, we're building on.
All right. As the Bison prepare to wrap up their season this Saturday at home against Virginia Lynchburg, reflect back over your first full season as Howard's head coach. What awaits the Bison in the upcoming years?
Oh man, ups and downs, starts and stops, and everything in between. Like you said, you go back to the first fall, and we didn't even have a fall. We were all virtual. We weren't in school here. We didn't do anything. Didn't lift, didn't run, didn't do anything. So to come back in January and half the time there was ice on the field, we couldn't even get out, was another deal. And then you have some COVID stops for COVID testing and different things. So it's been a whirlwind, I tell you that. And it's been the first time that we've actually were able to put together a string of practices and being around each other. So trying to teach them how to live, trying to teach the whole deal. It's been goods, bads, ups, downs, but definitely a lot that we can learn from with our very young football team, and I think we'll be better for it. Look forward to really getting into a true off season where we truly have January, February, the way that it's supposed to be as you try to build, a football team, especially a young team. So looking forward to, getting into finishing up this week the right way. That's what it's all about for us, is the finish. This thing's a journey, a season's a journey, and it's not how you start it, it's how you finish. And hopefully getting on a positive note to roll into our offseason and get our offseason programming going and get this football team better.
Awesome, Coach. Thank you for that. Those are the questions that I have for you. We'll now get to the media questions, beginning with Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach Scott. How are you, sir?
Good morning. How you doing?
Pretty good. When you look at the Howard Bison's football season and you put a book in on the Meac experience for the first year, what are some of the takeaways you would like to move forward with?
I'll tell you what, you better be ready to go each and every week. Regardless of who beat who has people's records, that doesn't matter when you get into conference play. And now having a really good firm, grasp on seeing the athletes that are in the conference and the guys that are returning and different things like that. We have a whole lot of answers that were kind of a mystery for us this year, all year, with everything going on and everything that we all went through. So now, you got some questions answered and you got a little bit more knowledge about what you're looking forward to and what you're into, so that you can shape and frame what your offseason needs to be about to get yourselves to the level of where we're contending for championships. We talk about that in this football program. We're not going to shy away from talking about playing for championships. That's what you do. But there's a process as to how to get there. And now we have a couple more answers of what we need to know, so that we can put together and devise the very best plan that we can to make sure we're moving forward in that direction through the winter months, spring practice, and all those type of things, and getting back into another season next year.
Coach, you move forward in your last game of this season features Virginia of Lynchburg, an interesting program. Can you just talk about that game going in? And again, it's a great opportunity as you move forward and you get some momentum going into the off season.
I think that's what it's all about. Regardless of who we're playing, it's about building some positive momentum to go into the offseason with, and then those things. I think the opponent, like we talk about all the time, the opponent in the ring is us. So it really doesn't matter, again, who that is. And I know sometimes that gets to sound cliche, but when you're truly building something, that is the biggest opponent. Where we're at, what we need to do to get better each and every week, and that's what it'll be again this week. And it's about having the pride and all those type of things to finish up playing at home, to finish up your last game on a really positive note, and then getting ready to go this offseason.
Thank you, sir. Have a great offseason, and we'll see you again next week.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Dr. Cavill?
Yes, good morning. I wanted to go in the same or similar direction as the previous question, just holistically looking at the program. But before I do that, I did want to ask about Virginia Lynchburg in regards to what do you seek to get done in this game based on what you did all season outside of just winning the game, obviously?
I think to continue I want to see us come out and play well in all three phases of the game. We have yet this year to put together where our offense, our defense, and our kicking game are all clicking on all cylinders, and we're playing complementary football and doing it all together. We have yet to do that. So the biggest challenge for us this week is to see if we can go out offensively. We obviously always want to establish the run, but be very balanced in our attack and what we do that way. Defensively, we want to go out. Of course, the number one thing is to always stop the run. But the biggest challenge for us is that we've given up a lot of things in the passing game that has hurt us, and then come back and kind of like what North Carolina Central did to us early. We were good in the run, and they were able to hit some passes and throws, which loosened up, and then later on they were able to start hitting runs and things like that to establish a run game, mostly in the second half, to the tune of 293 yards on the ground. So just to come out and play good, sound, complementary football is what I'm really looking to establish this week as we approach the week of practice and as we go into this game to see if we can do that and put one together to build off of in the offseason of playing total complementary football across the board.
Thank you, Coach. Got one follow-up question in terms of as the media sessions stop, the cameras in terms of game day and go in a different direction for other sports. What is the framework or the plan, if you would, to some degree? What is the plan during the off season as you matriculate through that process?
Oh, my man, that's a great question. It's time to bear the hatch down. The submarine's going under. Close the hatch. We're going underground, and it's about the work. Now it's all about, the work, not the scheme, not this, not that. It's the fine details of, technique, of fundamentals, of the philosophy of getting bigger, stronger, faster, more explosive. And we really need to become a smarter football team. We talk about it all the time as a staff. I wonder how many young people actually sit and watch football. I don't think they do as much as they used to. And so, we're going to start our football one-on-one sessions where we're going back and we're just teaching base footballs, the rules of football, base coverages, grace fronts, just base football structure. So it's to bury the hatch, put the submarine underwater, and we're going to work on a day-by-day basis. Bring your hard hat every day, mentally, physically, spiritually, emotionally, all of it. We're going to be all in, tied into what we got to do to build not only the player, but the mind and all of those things as we get ready to really, truly have a year of development. This football team has probably missed 2.5 years of total holistic, consistent development. It hasn't happened in this program. And now we're to a point where we get a chance to do that, and we're excited about it.
Thank you for sharing that. Good luck this weekend and good luck this off season. Look forward to talking with you in February.
Absolutely.
Second Saturday.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Ty Miller.
Hey, good morning, Coach Scott. How you doing?
Ty, how we doing, buddy?
I'm good. I like that analogy, putting the submarine to work. And on that note, I want to ask you about this. You've often talked this year about building from the ground up. Now, there are a lot of high school players out there, particularly a lot of inner city kids who don't know the process of what it takes to be recruited, putting the tape together, or getting a look, so they can further their careers in college. So what kind of advice do you have for them, and what kind of processes, how are you using in order to recruit kids who may not know about the process?
Well, I'll tell you what, for kids right here in the DMV area, you will see, and our coaches will be in meeting with your coaches in your high schools between December and January. We're not leaving the DMV. We're not going. We got a couple committed guys that are in this class that we're going to get out and go see and do those things. But our focus and what we're going to do is going to be turning over every rock and every stone in every school in the surrounding DMV area. So you'll see us. And I think a lot of that, my advice to those guys is to, put together your tape, get with your coaches, get with, anybody in the local area that, knows how to do that and's got connections and relationships with coaches and college coaches and things like that. And get your stuff and get it out there, get it as much out there, go push yourself. What social media now has allowed for those young people is to become their own. They can market and sell themselves. They don't have to wait for coaches and different things like that anymore. So be proactive, put together your film, attach it on Huddle, put it in people's Twitter DMs and all those type of things, and be proactive towards getting that done and getting your tape and your name out there. But the other part of it is just stay patient as you can. I know the rules and everything with the transfer portal, you see more PWIs and the FBS schools trying to get all their kids and land them before, in the early signing period, and then going to the portal for the second signing period and not even going back to high school kids, which is kind of hurting high school kids right now. But in the end, I think it'll be better for FCS programs and things like that, because you'll see some of the young, more high school talent kind of get passed down to and filtered through to some of the FCS schools and different things like that. So there's a place for everyone. I would tell them to stay encouraged, keep their head up. There's a place for everyone to go find an opportunity to go play football. And don't look at the letters or the name or the buildings or any of those things, and go take advantage of the opportunity, and your talent will always be, found.
So in a nutshell, you're saying the kids really should put the work in for themselves as well, basically, to do it for themselves to try to get that look.
I think I think it's balance in it. I think there's a twofold. I think because they have the ability to. At one point, it was, the postage and can you afford to go mail out all your film and have the CDs or get the VHS tapes and send them? You really don't have to do that now. Now you can just go on and cut the film yourself, put it into a video and send it. So I think it's a balance between high school coaches doing a really good job of selling their players and using their relationships. But the young men and their families could, take on an more active role now because they have the opportunity and the space to do that.
Okay. Thank you, Coach.
All right. Thank you, Coach Scott. Good luck this week, and we will see you next Monday.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, guys.
All right. Have a good one.
You too.
This Saturday, the Bison will host the Virginia Lynchburg Dragons at Green Stadium in Washington, D.C. Kickoff for this regular season finale is slated for 1 p.m., and the game will be broadcast live on the Meac Digital Network on ESPN+. Up next, we have with us Coach Trey Oliver from North Carolina Central. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm well. How are you doing this morning?
Doing well. All right, Coach Oliver, for the first time this season, the Eagles have won back-to-back games, with the latest victory being a 45-27 win at Howard. Talk about the keys to that win, including the 545 yards of total offense generated by the Eagles.
Well, the morning started off rough. Our buses got lost on the way back to the hotel to pick the team up. So we were late arriving to the stadium, and it was a rough morning. But I don't know if because the bus company was owned by North Carolina A&T alum. I don't know if that had anything to do with it, but we had a rough morning getting started. But it was a good win, great win. I was pleased to see our guys finally, piece it together in all three phases, although we did get off to another rough start. We had a fumble in our first series, and which led to Howard's first score. But again, we kind of settled down a little bit and answered back. And I thought, offensively, we played a little bit better up front this week, and we're able to run the football this week, which also opened up some throws with Pee Wee, with Davies. And then defensively, played a little bit better. I thought our defensive front played better this week, and we did give a couple explosive runs. But back in, it was good to see our guys played with great eye discipline. And Coach Scott and his offensive staff, they're very hard to defend, and they do so much, and they know how to attack you. So you have to kind of sit back and play base defense. You can't do a whole lot defensively with those guys. And but I thought our guys in the back and our defensive backs played with great eye discipline. And then our kicking game, it was really, really windy up there, but I thought our kickers did a pretty good job of executing what they were asked to do. And then we had Juwan Hudson had another big block on a field goal this week. So it was just good to see our guys continue to improve, and hopefully we can build on that and improve again this weekend.
Awesome. Winning 3 of your last 4 games has put North Carolina Central in a position of staying alive for a shot at sharing the MEAC championship. What does this mean for the program?
Well, it's always good to be in a conversation when they're talking about championships. So, obviously we need a whole lot of help, but, our focus this week is going to be strictly on Delaware State. So we're going to control what we can control, prepare for those guys. And then, 5 or 6 o'clock in the evening, we'll figure out what's going on. But anytime that you're in a conversation, as far as championships and being a contender, that's great and means you're heading in the right direction.
Someone like you just mentioned, the season finale this Saturday is at home against Delaware State. Give us a preview of that game.
It's going to be a tough one. I mean, they are a tough group. Defensively, they're very physical. Their defensive line is probably one of the best, if not the best, in the conference. They're big, athletic, and they're very physical. And they're going to load the box and try to take away the run. So we're going to have to figure out a way how to generate some rushing yards this week. And then offensively, they got some playmakers. They got a couple of receivers that can, make you pay. And, they got a quarterback that's more than adequate. So it's like every other week in this league. You got to come to play. And it's going to be a physical football game this weekend.
Awesome, Coach. Those are the questions I have for you. We'll now turn to the media for their questions, beginning with Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach.
Good morning, James. How you doing?
Pretty good, sir. Your offensive ground game was clicking on all cylinders in terms of getting into the end zone and scoring. Can you talk about what you saw with that and the experience there, again, scoring the football?
Well, those guys, I think that the offense staff had a great game plan coming in. I think Coach Williams, our offensive line coach, has done a really good job the last couple of weeks trying to, piecemeal things together. We had another offensive lineman that was out this week, Bruce Trey, and, that's kind of our deal every year. I mean, every week it seems like guys are out, but I thought the offensive line came together this week and played well as a collective unit. And then, like I said, I think a lot of it had to do with our game plan. But, our running game has been, we have the personnel, those running backs that we have. I can't say enough about them. We have 3 really good running backs, and all of them are team guys. Some of them might have, a big week this week. And I don't think, Totten didn't have a whole lot of yards this weekend. But when his number was called, he scored and made some plays. But our ground game is the key, and that's what we're going to be able to do to get us over the hump this weekend.
Coach Oliver, speaking about this weekend, you'll see Delaware State. It's your last contest of the season. Should be a great matchup. Fans will be there to see the Eagles play. What are your impressions going in and your thought process going into this weekend?
Well, it's the last one for these seniors, and we want to send them out on a good note. And, Delaware State's a good football team. And I really want, we really need our fans to come out and support us this weekend. And I'm calling all Eagles, Durham, North Carolina, Virginia, wherever you're coming from. We need to pack the stadium and get behind your team this weekend. I think the Nest is a tough place to play when we pack it out. So we need the fans to be here and loud and rowdy and everything else. But we need to pack the stadium this weekend and support these seniors and watch these guys go on a good note.
Coach, in closing, why are the last games of the season so important in terms of looking at recruiting and fan support, publicity, and just the overall building of a program as you move forward into the spring and the off season?
That part of it's huge, but I think, first and foremost, it's about finishing. And whether it's finishing a game or whatever, finishing the season, we still some meat left on that bone. So, as long as there's time on that clock or we have another game, our guys, we got to play and play well. So first and foremost is, because we have another game to play, that's why we have to finish strong. And then, obviously on top of that, it, give you some momentum going into the off season. Of course, it definitely helps you with recruiting. We had 3 recruits that called and wanted to commit Saturday night after they watched this on ESPN after the Howard game. So, these recruits out here paying attention, and they want to be on, on a successful team and program. So, with everything, momentum with the program, recruiting, and just, finishing the season like you should.
Thank you, sir. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Dr. Cavill.
Thank you. Coach Oliver.
Hey, good morning, Doc. How you doing?
I'm doing pretty good this morning. Great football this past weekend at the HBCU level. I was excited about it, including what you were able to get done against Howard. So I wanted to pick up where you talked about finishing. You were able to finish this last game, if you would, in terms of being very balanced on offense. But I wanted to look a little more in terms of what you're able to do running the ball, specifically 293 yards, led by Latrell, at least in terms of yardage with 115. As just a sophomore, can you explain why this young man fits your system and what you're trying to get done so well?
I mean, we call him Mookie around here, but Latrell Collier, he's a great person and he's a program type guy. And, coming into the season and last season, I think he was probably fourth string on the depth chart. Wow. And, he just comes to work and he works his butt off every day at practice, doesn't complain. If you ever get an opportunity to interview him, he's going to say, yes, sir, no, sir, 1,000,000 times. But he's a great young man. And like I said, he doesn't complain, he just works. And whenever you call his number, he's going to perform and perform well. I believe he led our team in rushing touchdowns last year. Mm-hmm. When you have guys like this in your program, it's contagious and it makes other guys work harder. And I can't say enough about that room. When you look at like Isaiah Totten, he's in the record books, been all conference, I guess probably the last 3 or 4 years. But he's a guy, probably doesn't have as many yards as he wished he would have had this year, but doesn't complain. And none of those guys in that room complain. They're all team players. They want us to win. And, they cheer for the next guy. So whoever's hot is who we're going to roll with. But it started up front this past week with the offensive line. It was really good to see those guys take a step forward and even with some reserves in there, be able to execute.
Coach, I look forward to interviewing Latrell, not just in terms of his demeanor, but what he's able to accomplish. So please let him know that I'm working towards getting that done for him.
Will do.
Follow-up question is this matchup this weekend. Delaware State, as you said, very solid on defense, and at times they can be explosive on offense. But you talked about the physicality, and that comes up quite a bit about the Hornets. And in football, obviously, you want to be physical. In that vein, I know you look about your program and what you want to do, but can you tell me a little bit about this matchup in terms of them being physical and why they become so difficult in this type of matchup?
Well, I think some of it has to do with, the team is kind of taking on the personality of their head coach. And, I've known Coach Milstead since I had the opportunity to coach up there back in the late 90s. I think 99, I was up there. But, when you have a head coach that has an offensive lineman that played in the NFL, usually they're going to probably be a pretty physical football team. But, their defensive line and offensive line, those guys just, they get after you. And they get after you for 60 minutes. And, like you said, they are explosive on the perimeter at the receiver position. So we're going to have to be able to answer the bell, and it's going to be a knockdown, drag-out fight. And I think our guys will be ready for the task.
Certainly. My next question is looking at the offseason. And with all due respect, I know you have another game. You focus on that, rightfully so. You also have a chance things fall out and go in a certain way that you can win a part of the championship. To some degree, that's out of your control. You do what you can do. But as these media sessions close, the cameras go off. Can you tell me a little bit about what is the plan for the offseason? This is a question I'm asking all the coaches, to be frank with you.
Well, we're going to be full-fledged, knee-deep in recruiting. The game Saturday, we just got our staff meeting this morning talking about our schedule moving forward. The game Saturday, we'll meet with our guys on Sunday and close some things out. But Monday, we're going to be full-fledged recruiting. And obviously, our strength staff, we have outstanding strength staff with Thomas Carroll. He'll handle the strength and conditioning aspect of everything. And but the month of January and February, we're going to be 100% fully focused on recruiting and bringing some other guys to the program.
Never off day. It's always about the business. But thank you for sharing that, Coach, and good luck this week.
Thank you.
Mr. Ty Miller.
Hey, Coach Oliver, good morning to you.
Good morning, Ty. How you doing, man?
I'm good. Just a couple of small questions for you. Number one, do you believe in fate? being that you started in Atlanta and you could possibly end in Atlanta?
Ty, we worried about Delaware State, man. I mean, I appreciate the question, but if we don't handle our business against Delaware State, we don't even need to talk about anything else. So we during the meeting yesterday with the guys, we talked about it. Nobody around here is going to talk about a championship. Nobody's going to be talking about South Carolina State, Norfolk State. We're not going to be checking the score. I'll probably tell the PA announcer of the game, I don't even want to announce it. We're 100% focused on Delaware State. So, unfortunately, we dropped one against South Carolina State, so we don't control our own destiny. But we're not going to be trying to figure out some mathematical problem and whatever the case may be to figure out what's, as far as the championship, how that's going to pan out. We're only concerned about Delaware State.
Well, I heard that PA announcer might be a South Carolina State alum, so just watch out for that. The other part of the question is Delaware State erased a 26-point deficit against Norfolk State. When you talk to your team about the game is not over, not scoreboard watching, what will be the message there, knowing that Delaware State will not submit?
Neither will we. So, I mean, we're going to play 60 minutes. And, Delaware State's a gritty bunch. And, they just continue to fight. And, like you said, they didn't watch the scoreboard. They just played it one play at a time. And they made some plays down the stretch. And, they got the momentum. And, once you get the momentum, it's tough. But I'm not concerned about our guys not playing for 60 minutes. We've done that around here in the past. And I think that we'll continue to do that. So we're going to get their best effort for 60, and they'll get our best effort for 60 as well.
All right, Coach, good luck to you this weekend, and we'll be watching the scoreboard for you.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Oliver, thank you so much. Good luck this week, and we will see you next week.
Thank you. Have a good day.
You too. The North Carolina Central Eagles will host Delaware State this Saturday at 2 p.m. at O'Kelly-Riddick Stadium. The game will be broadcast live on the Meac Digital Network on ESPN+. Up next, we have Delaware State head coach, Rod Milstead. Good morning, Coach. How are you?
Good morning. How are you?
Doing well. All right, Coach. The Hornets tallied a huge win on Saturday, coming back from a 26-0 halftime deficit to register a 28-26 victory. Share your thoughts about the amazing comeback.
It was the tale of two halves. The first half, we didn't play very well. Norfolk State had their way with us pretty much. I want to say the only bright spots in the first half was the blocked extra points, two of them that were really big in the second half for us. If not, it would have been a tie ball game and probably going into overtime. So halftime was one of those coming to Jesus moments where, as a coach, you walk into the locker room and you don't know what to say, and you don't know how to approach your coaching staff. You don't know what to say to motivate your guys. And so you go back to basics. And I figured I would take 5 minutes and have a talk with Jesus and to give me some guidance. And that worked out well. Talk to our guys about their biggest competitor is the guy in the mirror, and that, the same way that Norfolk scored 26 in one half, and we're capable of doing the same thing. So kind of motivated those guys. My coaching staff got together, saw some things that could help us. We changed some things around offensively and defensively and even special teams, and came out and decided we'd go one play at a time, one series at a time. In order for the thing to start, we had to get 7 points. Got the 7. Stayed the course of what we charted for the second half, and then we slowly, methodically just stayed right on task. And by the grace of God, and things worked out, and we were able to cut it to 26-21, and with a lot of minutes left on the clock, and we knew that we had a good possibility to win the football game.
Awesome. The Hornets are now one of the hottest teams in the Meac, having won 4 of their last 6 games. To what do you attribute the team's recent success?
Just the hard work, the time that these young men put in daily, becoming a student of the game. I monitor how long they watch film, and that's been a big thing for us. the more film you watch, the more you become a student of the game. And that's part of the process, and that's part of the requirement and the standard here at Delaware State. So that's the major problem. I mean, major thing that we. Sorry about that. My phone's going crazy. So let me put it on here. There we go. And but our guys have really bought into the process of what we're trying to get done, and I'm so proud of them, and they deserve the victory.
Awesome, Coach. The team will close out the 2021 season this weekend at North Carolina Central. What is your game plan for that contest?
Well, North Carolina Central is a very dynamic, scrappy football team. You saw that 2 weeks ago when they played Norfolk, and they were down, and their coaches got together and they changed their game plan around, and a couple overtimes later, they win the football game. So we know we got our hands cut out for them. Coach Oliver has done a phenomenal job turning his program around this season. Those guys are hungry. They have a very dynamic running game. Their quarterback is finally settling in and leading their offense. And, they got receivers on the outside that do a very good job of catching the ball. But then once they get the ball in their hand, they're very dynamic, getting upfield and getting as many yards as they possibly can. The offensive line is very talented. Some transfers on there that are doing a phenomenal job for them up front. So we got our hands, our task cut out for us this week. And, we'll be up for the test. We have a nice little ride down to Durham, but we'll be up for the test.
All right, Coach, those are the questions I have for you. We will now turn to the media, beginning with Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach. How are you, sir?
I'm much better this week than I was last week. Thank God.
Awesome. DSU Hornets football, special moments and games in history. Can you share with us a special moment as a player, a student athlete, and then take us into the special game or moment, if you will, that just transpired this past weekend?
Well, this question was posed to me, I want to say minutes after the game by the guys from ESPN. And as a player, it was in 1990 when we played Liberty University. I believe it was 1990. We played Liberty and we were down 28 in the fourth quarter. And we came back and we beat them. So as a player, it was that game. But as a coach, it has to be this one right here, this past week. Being down 26, you're trying to find a way to get it going, and Norfolk was running on all cylinders. They had both feet on the throttle, and, thank God for halftime because that gave us a chance to kind of regroup and to try to slow that wagon down that they were pulling over there. And it was good for us. It was good. It was time for us to do some soul searching, but it was definitely, to answer your question, it was definitely this game here. This game was the more I've watched it, it's really crazy how it happened. But I just take my hat off to the players and the coaches here that continue to press on, man, regardless of the score, regardless that it was senior day, regardless that Norfolk was hot. They just continue to press on. And, you look back on how we played the second half on Saturday and you say, hey, if we had done that against Georgetown, if we have done that against South Carolina State, if we have done that last week on Thursday night against Morgan, where would we be right now? So I'm blessed to know that we only had 5 seniors and that the majority of this football team will be back again next year. So we're using this as some momentum to go forward. And but we know we have a one last opportunity as a family to be together, and that's going to be this Saturday in Durham.
Coach, have you just alluded to this Saturday, the Hornets at North Carolina Central? What are your thoughts going in, and how big of a deal is this game? And then you look at this is actually one of the best games of HBCU football coming up this weekend.
Well, it's a big game because of the next game. I've always felt that way. regardless of our record. Whatever the next game is, it's your biggest one on your schedule. So it's the biggest one. Unfortunately, we know that after this game on Saturday, that's it. There is no more. Okay, it's our seniors' last game, period, in a Hornet uniform. They're out of eligibility. So a lot of emotions are going to be strong on Saturday. I know our guys are really, close with our seniors, and they want to send them out the right way. But also, as Coach Oliver alluded to, it's very good to have some momentum going into the offseason. So guys will continue with that taste of winning into the offseason and knowing they have something very positive to build off of.
Thank you, Coach Milstead. Have a great week, sir.
Thank you.
Dr. Cavill.
Coach Milstead, good morning.
Good morning.
As you said, it's much better morning than the last one. I understand why.
Yes.
I got a chance to watch the game, fully engaged in it. So it's amazing momentum, at least from our perspective, what we see. But whether you're up or down, can you talk to us or me specifically about what is the space? What do you do at halftime in terms of the coaching perspective?
In this game or games prior? Because this game was different. This was
okay, let's talk about this one then.
This game was probably the first time that I was completely blank walking off the field. I remember taking my headset off and turning around to give it to our coach comm guy, and he wasn't there. And I take it off and I'm walking towards that area, and I just sat it on a table that was sitting there on the track. And as I'm walking off the field, I'm asking myself, what are you going to say? You're down 26-0 at halftime at home. Senior day, all these parents are here. What are you going to say, number one, to your players? And number two, what are you going to say to your coaching staff? Okay. And everyone's looking for you. All these people are walking off. I mean, you're seeing you walk off. They want to know, what are you going to be saying, to motivate a team that's down and looks badly beaten at, by 26 points. And like I said, I took a moment out just to pray. And because I didn't have an answer, I didn't. And that's the truth. And walked in the locker room and I just said, God, I need you now. My team is down. They're wounded. They're looking for me for guidance. And I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say. And then when I started speaking, I just told everybody to have a seat, which I always go to the coach's locker room first. And then I come over after we kind of set the game plan up. And this time I decided to go to the players first, straight directly to the players. And we had a conversation, and it was quiet. I mean, it was so quiet in there where everyone was actually locked in. And we just talked about the man in the mirror, about doing your job, okay, holding each other accountable, making sure when you come out the locker room that, you're ready to play, not just wearing the uniform. I want ballers. I just don't want uniform holders. I want some ballers. And if you're not, part of the 11 that's on the field, then you're a starter waiting to play. We don't have any backups here at Delaware State. And I had to remind the players of that. Okay. So whatever your job is, if your job was to get somebody ready during the week, then that was your job. You had to do it 100 miles an hour. Okay. So if your job on game day is to make sure that guys stay into the game, then that's your job. And that's exactly what happened on the sidelines. Guys that, are not even close to getting on the field were helping those guys that were on the field by being eyes and ears and keeping them up. And the momentum changed. After the first touchdown, the momentum changed. The second touchdown, the momentum changed. And those happened off of interceptions. And so once we got those, it just kept going. And the next thing you know, we're at 21-26, and it's a ball game now. It's a ball game. And when we went up, there's still 1 minute and 53 seconds left. And just for the record, I know ESPN said that Delaware State tried an onside kick. That's not true. Okay. If you saw when we scored 21, we squibbed the ball down the middle of the field because we knew they have a dynamic guy, number 15, that can take it to the house on any given time. And we didn't want him to have the ball in his hands. So we squib kicked it down the middle of the field, okay, and the ball hit and took a slow roll, which gave our guys enough time to get there. And he tried to make a couple moves, and he got tackled at the 8 to make them have to go 92 yards, okay? And so the second time, when we're up 28-26 in the minute 53, of course, I'm thinking, don't kick it to that guy.
Right.
Yeah, don't kick it to that guy because, we got a taste of that at Central last time. We tied the ball game up and kicked it off and, 90-some yards the other way. So, no. And so we're going to squib kick it. I told him kick it hard because we had a 15-yard penalty which backed us up. So he had to squib it really hard. So he nailed it. And when he nailed it, it hit the front guy right in the leg and jumped right back over to us. And our number 11, Daniel Douglas, was able to get on the ball. It's our ball. And then we knew we had to get a first down to win it. I mean, just to maintain the win and not give them the ball. When they got, that dynamic quarterback they have at Norfolk, and he controls everything. And we didn't want the ball in his hands, not with a minute and some seconds left.
First part of that, Coach, powerful testimony in the football context, and thanks for clearing it up. That's what I saw watching the game and was aware in terms of ability for a kickoff return and why you would stay away from that. My follow-up question is about this upcoming week's matchup, obviously with North Carolina Central that is playing some good football, is confident in terms of coming off wins. They talk about your physicality. What do you see in this matchup? I know each of these Meac matchups have been tough in themselves, and we're seeing it play out this way. But specifically about the Eagles, what do you see in this?
I said this weeks and weeks ago. The Meac is evenly yoked. On any given Saturday, someone can win, okay? And I will firmly believe that. We recruit the same type of kids, the same caliber of kids. That's what we do. We're in everybody's backyard. I mean, I'm in Coach Oliver's backyard. He's in my backyard with players and vice versa. Okay. So we all recruit the same type of kids. And North Carolina Central, they're built tough. I mean, that was the school that gave me my first opportunity to coach college football. So I'm going to be forever grateful to Ingrid and those guys who were on the coaching staff, who gave me an opportunity to coach, to get into college coaching a few years ago. And so it's a special moment for me to be able to go back. Every time we go down there, it just reminds me of how it started. But I know, that being out the way, Coach Oliver is going to have his guys to play. We're going to be a physical team. That's it. That's from day one. Okay. If we're not going to do anything else after you play a Delaware State football team, you're going to know you've been in a fight. Okay. And that's been something of my mantra since day one. That we want to be tough. We want to be physical. We never want to be out physical. We never want to be outworked on the football field. And then everything else will take care of itself. But I'm hoping and praying that we'll continue where we left off on Saturday. Remember, I said it's a tale of two teams. Okay, that first tale, I hope we're done with him. Okay, I do not want to spot Coach Oliver 26 points for this last game coming up. But I really believe our guys have learned a valuable lesson that we have to come out the locker room ready to go, and we can't wait. We did this against Wagner as well. We're down 20-7 at halftime, and the speech was different then. Okay, my speech at halftime was totally different then. My speech was more geared towards our coaches that trickled down to the players. This time it was more geared to the players and the coaches. I guess they figured out, man, Coach Milstead zapped off on us like Wagner. We better get our stuff together now. And when he comes over here, let it be ready to go. We'll present it to him. So that's exactly what happened. When I walked in the coach's locker room, it was just about a presentation of what we're going to do. It took less than 3 minutes, and then they were talking to the guys. So I really appreciate what they did, and that they saw that it was a time for all of us to come together and just get our kids at a different place. And so this weekend with Coach Oliver's bunch at Central, man, when I watched on film with their last game, they're a very dynamic group, and it's going to take us playing 4 quarters of football. We know what's at stake. I mean, a couple of pieces of the puzzle, they still have a say in the MEAC championship. Okay, if something else happens, they have a say. Unfortunately, we don't have that voice. A few weeks ago, we had it. We don't have that voice now. And so we're playing for other reasons besides that. And that's okay. That's what God had for us this year. And we're going to finish out our season the best way we know how, and that's 4 quarters of football.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Milstead, thank you so much for being here with us this week. Good luck this weekend, and we will see you next Monday. Take care. Delaware State will travel to Durham, North Carolina this Saturday to face the North Carolina Central Eagles. Kickoff is at 2 p.m. and the game will be broadcast live on the Meac Digital Network. Up next, we have Norfolk State head coach Dawson Odoms. Good morning, Coach Odoms. How are you?
Good morning. How you doing?
Doing well. All right, Coach. The Spartans were rolling early on Saturday, grabbing a 26-0 lead at halftime. What happened in the last 30 minutes?
Well, the tale of two halves. First half, we played extremely well. Second half, everything that could have went wrong. I take my hat off to Delaware State, Coach Milstead guys. They played extremely hard the whole time. And it's the same thing I've been telling our coaching staff is that we're playing against teams that 3 years ago, this is where they were, trying to figure it out. And they have that continuity, and their guys understand how to finish. We had to first figure out how to win, and now we trying to figure out how to finish. We're getting out to leads, and we're not able to hold on to those leads by playing average football in the second half and even below average. And that leads to comebacks, that leads to disappointing losses, and it's just where we are. We haven't had an off season to really build on those things and implement the kind of mentality that you need to be able to overcome the adversity that you're going to face in a football game. And in season, you're not gonna be able to build those things. That's part of off season, and it's unfortunate that we can get up and not know how to finish those ball games. And once the momentum shifted in that ball game Saturday, it was like we couldn't make a play to change the momentum. Offensively, defensively, special teams, we couldn't do anything to change that momentum. And it was a good football game. It's just unfortunate that we're on the other side of it. And that's 2 weeks in a row we've had tough losses. But in order to get where we want this program to go, you gotta first be in some tough losses, so that you have an understanding of what you're going to need to do to be able to not feel that way. And they know we're going to be here. We're going to get better. We got another week, got another opportunity to try to focus on finishing and closing out the season. But they made an unbelievable comeback, and we helped them. We didn't play our best football in the second half. And when you don't play your best for 60 minutes, you always give a team an opportunity for a chance to come back. And that's what happened. We didn't play our best, and we're going to get better. And it's unfortunate for these seniors that they're not able to play for a championship, but it's a lot of reasons why. And we got to fix those things in the offseason.
All right, Coach. With a shot at the MEAC championship now out of reach, what was your locker room speech following the game on Saturday?
Well, one of just really disbelief and disappointment, but I apologize to the seniors for coming up short and letting them know, hey, you still got one more week of opportunity. We're going to get dressed and get on the bus. I don't really have a lot to say to guys after a game. We're guaranteed 60 minutes. What we do with them is solely up to us. I live by that. And we didn't do enough in our 60 minutes. And a lot of that is we're learning as we're going. I've inherited a football team that didn't know how to win. Once they started winning, and you don't know how to keep winning, you can't revert back to doing certain things. And it always comes back to discipline. And everybody know that we run a program that's going to be disciplined. And that has taken leaps and boundaries from probably where it was in the past, but we still got to gain a lot on it. And that takes time. You don't get it right overnight. And we're working towards that, but we're going to get there. We know we're going to get there. And it's just a matter of making sure that we implement the necessary things for this team to be successful. And that's what we talked about, and we got on the bus and headed back home.
All right. Up next is a big contest at Dick Price Stadium against South Carolina State. Give us a preview of that game.
Well, we know a good football team is going to come in here that's going to play extremely hard. Talented football team. Coach Pugh does an outstanding job. Always have. Congratulations to him and his team as they, worst case scenario, they be co-champions, but they've already clinched the celebration. And, you know, I know that's good for him because he's done it for a long time and wanted to get his team back to the top. So, again, I take my hat off to him and congratulate him. But it's going to be a good football game. We'll respond. Whether it's 15 minutes, 30 minutes, 45 or 60, that's going to be the question is can we somehow figure out this week how to play for 60 minutes? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to explain to our guys. I'm not a big fuss. I'm not a big yeller. I don't get on guys like that. At the end of the day, winning and losing is going to be decided on the field in those 60 minutes. And you know you're going to be guaranteed that. We know Saturday is going to give us that opportunity. Are we going to come out and play start to finish? And that's going to be our challenge. And we're going to meet today, and that's going to be the challenge we set to our guys. Play 60 minutes, and we can't let up. And if we do that, we like our chances.
Awesome, Coach. Thank you for those answers. Those are all the questions I have for you. We'll now turn to the media, beginning with Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Doing great. Thank you.
When you take a new job and you are building a new program and you have some quality pieces and student athletes, and you have some things there that you can utilize to win and building blocks that you can have success. Can you just talk about that process and going from one situation to the next? And again, just building a winner in the journey.
Well, the hardest thing is that you can't get back when you take over a new job is time. You don't have the time that's needed to be invested to get a football team where it needs to be and get to know people. This game is about getting to know your players and your players getting to know you because it's about trust. Trust is built over time. And when you miss an entire spring and you don't really get your football team here until July, and of course in July you can't have a ball, so you don't really get a football to see what your guys are able to do until August, and you're asked and you're facing the task to go win football games and chase championships. I think everybody realized that was going to be an uphill battle, but when you're winning, a lot of your deficiencies are not recognized. And when you start losing your first some adversity, then you start seeing some of the habits of the culture prior to you start coming out. And those are the things that you have to change going forward when you're talking about winning and building a program. And that takes time. And I'm not down on the guys, and I refuse to get down on them because I really believe that all that they've been through, and they've been through a lot, is that you got to love on them and let them know that you care about them and you still believe in them. And that's going to be always my coaching philosophy. And it's just unfortunate to this senior class that they weren't able to chase the championship that they deserve. But I always ask, look in the mirror, because we could have all done something a little bit different. And that's what it's going to take. And going forward, we want to leave them on a good note and give them a chance to say they started this, because it is something special started here. And they get the chance to at least leave as winners. And to me, that's great for them and great for our program.
Coach, your lasting takeaways from that Delaware State game, when you look back and you move forward, what do you see that you want to enhance, so to speak?
Well, we got to enhance how we mentally prepare and get ourselves ready. It's more about our mental process of how we deal with things. It's almost like we're shocked that we're ahead like that. We're shocked that we're dominating like that, but that will become an expectation. And we really believe that we're going to be a really good football team going forward. I know people looking at some of the pieces of the puzzle that we're losing, but everybody's going to lose something. But we got 13 seniors, and We got a lot of our football team coming back, recruiting. We know what pieces we got to plug in, and we'll get a spring ball. And that's really what's going to help us is getting the off season to really develop and grow together and really see this process take off. And we're going to be there. And I told our guys, don't worry about it. Again, to the seniors, I was very apologetic to them. But for these guys that go have a chance to come back, we're going to build something special. And we really believe that.
Coach, this Saturday, you'll have an awesome opportunity and a championship atmosphere at Price Stadium when you look over and you see Coach Buddy Pugh and the South Carolina State Bulldogs. Can you just talk about going into this weekend? Again, it should be a really wonderful game, a fans treat, HBCU dynamic experience. Just talk about going into this weekend and what you hope to see there.
Well, I just hope to see great execution from my football team for 60 minutes. We've been dominant in spurts. We played well in spurts, and that's just a roller coaster of really your team when you play in spurts. When you cannot play 60 minutes of dominating football, it's tough. It's tough. But one thing I have seen from this football team is that we play extremely hard. Even though we come up short, they play extremely hard. Now we got to put that with great execution, and we wouldn't be in some of these battles at the end of games. And that's where we hope to take the next step on Saturday against South Carolina State is just showcasing, our final game of what our season should have looked like. And we have yet to play a complete football game, and we in game 11. So again, we played in spurts, but we have yet to play a dominating 60 minutes against a quality opponent.
Thank you, sir. Have a great week.
Thank you.
Question from Thomas Grant.
Yes, good morning, Coach. Just looking ahead to this Saturday, you look back at the last 2 weeks. If you, by chance, you happen to have the same situation going into Saturday's game, going at the half, I guess at first, have you thought about what you may tell your team, and how much do you think this time, though, it'll be helpful that you're playing at home?
Well, this is our fourth home game. We played 7 games on the road, which has been challenging, especially when you're a new staff and just all the logistics that go into travel. But being at home has been good for us. We have a chance to finish off our home season undefeated, which is something I think you take pride in doing. It's something we can build on, is creating a home field advantage here at Norfolk, Virginia. I think if we had the same scenario going in at halftime, I won't say what I said against the North Carolina Century game, and won't say what I said against the South Carolina State game, and probably try a whole different new speech to see if we can come out in the second half and play a little bit better. But I would take the same scenario because it's all about learning and growing, and that's what this whole game is about. And if you don't learn and grow from it, it'll hinder you going forward. But we're learning and growing. I think it's a part of the process. And we just getting stagnated in the second half, and it's just causing us to lose focus a little bit. But I don't think it's just the second half. I think it's leading up to the game. I thought it was leading up to the season. It's just catching up with us at the wrong time. And you must be playing well in November to win these kind of games. So hopefully going forward, if we get that same scenario, I just look our guys in the eyes and says, okay, we've been here before. Now let's go finish. That's all it comes down to. Execution and finish. And again, that's something you work on in the offseason.
And then also, Coach, given South Carolina State's uncertain status when it comes to their starting quarterback, does your approach change in terms of preparing against them defensively?
Well, it's two different kind of quarterbacks. I think they have two different game plans when you're talking about the two quarterbacks. But, I mean, they already know what each guy can do. They put it on film, but I think you got to get ready. Playing football for us is mostly about us. If we come out and play, we know we can play with anybody. Can we come out and play for an entire game over 60 minutes? That's our challenge, is that we know we're going to have good game plans. We know we're going to be able to do some things and have some good execution, but can we sustain that? And that's really what I want to see is 2 losses back to back, you would say right off the Spartans, but I'm just not that kind of guy. And we go get them up and go get them ready to play, and we go come out, and these seniors and this football team gonna play extremely hard and well, hopefully, for our last home game and last regular season game. But I think you're gonna get the best that the Spartans have to offer, and it all will build us some momentum going into the offseason.
And then finally, Coach, talking about your seniors, is it safe to say this is the week where your seniors really have to step up their leadership?
Well, if you're talking about stepping up leadership now, you're late. Leadership is something that's should have been on display. And again, when you're not able to be around guys, it's kind of hard to show them the type of leadership that's required in order for you to lead a group of young men. And that's something we do in the off season, and we didn't have that. We have leadership training in the off season that is a part of our process, but you can't do that during the season. So our leaders are guys that got to step up from a standpoint of this is how we want to leave it, and we want to leave it better than we found it. And if they do that, then we know we're going to be better off going forward. And that's my challenge to them is pride is something that we all have as men. And the pride of the Norfolk State University football program will be on the line Saturday. If we can't play for pride, then there's nothing else for us to play for.
Thank you, Coach.
Dr. Cavell?
Yes, Coach, you alluded to this quite a bit in the previous questions, but I wanted to ask specifically one question I'm asking essentially to all the coaches. After the media shuts down and the cameras from the games go off, what do you specifically look to do this offseason with your program?
Well, we put a calendar in place and just trying to get our program to understand the steps that it takes to get to November. And you build it with winter conditioning and having a focus of what you want that winter conditioning to look like. Then we go into our mat drills. And then we go into our leadership training. We go into our community service. We go into building the man as you want the man to look like when no one's looking. And then we get into spring ball. And what spring ball is about becomes about the fundamentals of everything that we're going to need to be able to get ready for fall. Then you get a little break there at the end, and then you go into summer training. And it's year-round, and it's step by step. But a lot of the things is getting these guys around each other and putting them in leadership roles and putting them in different situations so that they can increase their accountability and increase their dependability of each other. If you cannot do that as a team, then it's hard to be a team. And that's one thing that we were not able to do.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Coach Odoms, for your time today. Good luck this weekend, and we will see you next Monday.
Always a pleasure. Behold, the green and gold.
Norfolk State will host the South Carolina State Bulldogs this Saturday in the regular season finale for both teams. Kickoff is set for 2 p.m. at William Dick Price Stadium. The game will be broadcast live on ESPN3 and then rebroadcast on Sunday morning at 7:30 on ESPNU. Also, the Meac Countdown to Kickoff presented by Coca-Cola will be on Norfolk State's campus live at 12 p.m. You can watch it live on ESPN+. Up next, we have South Carolina State head coach, Buddy Pugh. Good morning, Coach Pugh. How are you?
Good morning, Karen. How are you?
Doing well. All right, Coach. The Bulldogs were on the short end of a 27-17 game against old nemesis North Carolina A&T. Talk a little bit about that game for us.
Well, A&T beat us again. And, it was a little bit of everything. Offensively, they've got it going toward the end of the second quarter into the second half, and got a score or two. Defensively, they continue to play their regular game and beat us up a little bit. And then we were somewhat disappointed in a couple of outcomes in our special teams game. We had a punt block and had a couple kickoffs run back a good ways, but it was a good football game. And I got to take my hat off to Sam and his crew. They did a nice job. We did end up losing our quarterback in the deal kind of early in the second quarter. And from that point, and we seem to be mostly at practice our first team guy. So we don't do much with our second team guys. So we end up playing our second team guy the rest of the game at the quarterback position. That hindered us some. We just kind of ended up getting ourselves into a situation that we couldn't figure out how to get out of. Tried to go for a fake at the end of the game, had a chance to tie the game up. I know somebody's going to ask me about this, and I went for it, didn't make it. Wish I had I probably would have done it again. So I don't learn much from that. But at the same time, it was an opportunity for us to possibly win the game at the end, and we didn't. We come back at the end and give up a pick six. Actually, one of their defensive ends intercepted the ball out of our quarterback's hand or whatever. I don't know exactly what the heck happened, but they got a score right at the very end. But it was a 20-17 game up till about a minute to go, and they got a score at the end, which actually made it 27-17. That's it for me.
Thank you, Coach. As the games transpired around the conference last Saturday, the Bulldogs have secured at least a share of the Meac title and can win it outright this weekend. In your storied career in Bulldog country, where does this season stack up?
You know what? I hadn't had a chance to think about it. I'm just kind of right now feeling kind of strange. I think we kind of got the Celebration Bowl wrapped up. I think that's the way it works. But at the same time, I don't have anything official. But we lost a football game Saturday. So, I'm still kind of feeling the sting of that a little bit and trying to, make sure that we, get ourselves ready, get ourselves up off the ground and get ready for Norfolk this coming weekend. I'm sure they've got, some reservations, some mixed reservations about their situation. The both of us are kind of, coming off of a rough week of sorts. And, I'm not necessarily sure, how much of a team we can put together to go up there and play with those guys. And if we've got it wrapped up, whether I want to or not, we may just go in there and just kind of play all our freshmen or something. I don't know. So, we need to figure this thing out here on Monday.
Thank you, Coach. And an official statement about the Celebration Bowl will be coming out from the conference office soon.
Okay.
The regular season wraps up for the Bulldogs this Saturday with a big contest at Norfolk State, like you just mentioned. What type of game are you expecting on Saturday?
Well, I'm expecting a knockdown drag out. This is my first time playing against Coach Odom. Our teams playing against each other. Coach Odom as a head guy here at Norfolk. We played down at Southern a couple years back, and he got us, down there. So, we're looking forward to it. Norfolk's always a tough place for us to play. While Putz can be coaching up there, and it's a tough place for us to play. So we've had our issues at Norfolk in all kinds of different kinds of ways. So I expect nothing less than what, what generally happens when we go up there to play.
Coach, those are the questions I have for you. We'll now turn to the media for their questions, beginning with Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach. How are you, sir?
Hey, James, how are you?
Pretty good. Congratulations on all your success. When you look at this, yes, sir. When you look at your past weekend, the matchup, North Carolina A&T and South Carolina State, can you just go back to that episode in HBCU football history and what that installment was like?
Well, not very good for us here recently. We've now lost 6 in a row to A&T, and before that we'd been pretty much the same thing in the other direction. So it's been an all or nothing kind of deal for both programs, and the A&T has done a nice job of putting together, a good string against us. So at this point, no, I don't want to revisit it because the most recent results have not been good. But I can tell you what, and that is we enjoy playing them. It's a good crowd. It's always a great atmosphere when we play. We're so close by until, it just is a natural that we play. And our non-conference schedule, I don't know exactly who all these other guys play in this league, but we play A&T, we play Bethune, we play FAM. You know, those guys were in our league. We think we'll continue to try to play them. You know, it's just kind of a natural. Our fans enjoy, you know, seeing those guys. And then we play Clemson and New Mexico State, you know, on the side, you know, just to get a little bit of dessert, you know, with that doggone main course, you know, of the non-conference schedule that way. So, you know, ain't no softness in South Carolina State's doggone schedule deal. So, you know, we just got to fight our way through this thing and continue to, you know, see whatever we can do to make ourselves, you know, the best program possible.
Coach, 2021 is shaping up to be a special season and a special year for the Bulldogs program. Can you talk about the football you guys have played? A whole lot of football, 2 seasons in one fiscal year.
Yeah, this is game 15 for us coming up for 21. We had 4 in the spring, and now we playing 11, our 11th in the fall. And, you know, it's been an interesting kind of a setup of sorts. We played some teams a bunch. We played Delaware 3 times. And you saw that Delaware team Saturday. Nobody should have to go through that 3 times in a year. And we beat them 3 times. Let me tell you something. It wasn't a stone's throw difference between us. I guarantee you, if we would have played 3 more times, Delaware won all 3 games. So, you know, it's one of those kind of deals where, you know, we've had an enjoyable but a long, long season that way. And we're starting to get some guys banged up and beat up and that kind of stuff. But we're excited about the Celebration Bowl deal. Hopefully we can, you know, get this game, get through this next game healthy and in one piece and, you know, and get ourselves onto that particular process in a way where, you know, we got something left to take over there.
Coach, you head into Price Stadium. You'll see the Spartans. Just talk about your thought process going in. And again, after that, it's the ATL. Yeah, well, it'll be a tough game at Dolphins Place. It's always that way. And, you know, those guys have, I'm sure, you know, a little bit of a bone to pick, you know, with all of us, the fact that they've had, you know, these big leads the last couple of games and you know, and have not been successful in being able to secure them. So I expect them to be really, you know, riled up and fired up and ready to go, you know, in a way that, you know, it'll be a tough game for us. But, you know, we'll be ready to play. You know, we'll get in there and we'll figure out something so that we can give them a little bit of competition. Coach, in closing, winning national championships and Meac championships, how special is it every time you walk by and you see one of those trophies you have, just as a reminder of a lot of the hard work that you put into this process? Yeah, it is neat to see them, you know, but you think of the relationships, the guys that you coach, you think about all the different assistant coaches, all the different people that you've been involved with over the years, you know, as you go through those championship years. So it's more about that, I'm thinking, than the actual awards and that kind of stuff. It's about the relationships and the fun that you've had, you know, with these people, with the players, you know, and seeing them go out and be successful and come back and have their families, and you get a chance to meet their kids and all that kind of stuff. So that's the kind of stuff you think about when you've been around here, you know, as long as I have. Thank you, Coach. You have a great week. Thank you, James.
Dr. Cavill?
Yes, good morning, Coach.
Hey, Doc, how you?
Doing pretty good. Got a chance to watch the game. Man, really played well in that game in so many different dimensions until
thank you.
The quarterback got hurt, as you alluded to. You talked about the decision to go for the trick play, I guess you call it that. And let me preface this. I know it probably doesn't matter on my side, but I thought it was a great call. But I wanted to ask you how you got into the conception of that call. Obviously, it didn't work out in terms of the execution, but not having your quarterback and seeing how the game was playing out, was that one of the reasons that you go for that call, seeing that it's there?
That was the main reason we did it, because I didn't necessarily want to go into overtime. I didn't feel confident about us offense at that point. And our quarterback, who was playing for us at that time, was playing pretty good, especially in the fact that he'd been on the scout team most of the week. So you don't necessarily have an opportunity to really prepare him for what he's actually about to, experience. And at that point, then I didn't feel like I was being fair to him and, and what we were doing to him at that point. But, we had a little deal drawn up and we thought we had it. They had lined up a little bit differently previous to that particular play. So I got to take my hat off to A&T, the fact that, and so as I saw it, I probably should have called it off. But our kids did a nice job of blocking it and that kind of stuff. We just didn't quite execute the back end of it quite like we ought to. So at that point, we go about the task of trying to figure out what to do next.
Yeah, to your point, looking at it, obviously, television streaming platform, it looked blocking wise, it was there. It's just like the exchanges you said didn't come out there. So it would have been interesting to see how it would have played out. Obviously, we close that chapter. You move over to Norfolk State. You have the ability to go to Celebration Bowl, but you'd like to go there, on a winning note. So talk about the challenges of playing Norfolk State on the way they're seniors after they've had 2 tough losses as you try to prepare this backup quarterback to give you a little bit more of an offensive threat. How challenging is that right now?
Real challenging, Doc. And you kind of summed up my dilemma all in one sentence there when you start talking about all the different kinds of thought processes you go through, as you get ready to finish up this season and try to see if you can prepare, for what's next in the future. The last thing you want to do is go into, a bowl game, with a losing record, but at the same time, and we could be 5-6, which is what we'd be dealing with, given the circumstance. So we've got to fight our butts off to figure out how not to let that happen. So, that's our big mission at this point, to try to finish up strong, try to be the very best we can be.
Last question I have is now you get through that, and it's a lot of time to think through this, but if you allow me to at least try to play it out. Your opponent in the Celebration Bowl obviously is the SWAC. Don't want to belabor the point, but they play the championship game and they play a little more into the season. But once you get through this process, you have some time to work with this quarterback. How advantageous may that be, as a lot of people may just be looking at your record, but that time off in this situation may work to your favor. What are your thoughts on that?
That'd be, I hadn't thought about that much, but, at this point, you're right. It would give us an opportunity to, sharpen whatever our situation would be at that point. And, if it's the next guy, then to go ahead and get a plan together, design more around his skill set. And then at that same time, if the other guy is going to be the guy, then, to go in that direction too. But now we might ought to try to see if we got some extra time to see if we could get both guys maybe prepared. And I'm hoping that might be the best case scenario, because at that point, then that gives us an option both ways.
Thank you for looking down the road. Good luck this weekend, Coach.
Thank you.
All right, Coach Few, thank you for being here with us today. Good luck this weekend, and we'll see you on Monday.
Thank you, Karen. Y'all have a good rest of the day.
You too. South Carolina State will travel to Norfolk, Virginia this Saturday to face the Norfolk State Spartans at William Dick Price Stadium. Kickoff is set for 2 p.m. and the game will be broadcast live on ESPN3 and then rebroadcast Sunday morning at 7:30 on ESPNU. Up next, we have Morgan State head coach Tyrone Wheatley. Good morning, Coach Wheatley. How are you?
Good morning. Fine, and you?
Doing well. All right, Coach. The Bears couldn't get things clicking on Saturday at Ualbany, falling 41-14 after generating 183 yards of total offense. What kind of happened in the game for the Bears?
What kind of happened? We were hibernating in the first half. That's what happened. I guess you kind of call it victory hangover. And that was one of my biggest fears, right? Was just trying to get the guys prepared, getting them going. And we talk about it all the time, the process over the outcome. A lot of the guys thought they can just go out and do the same thing. And it's just not outcome driven, it's process. You have to go through the same process. We missed a lot of tackles. Once again, like you just alluded to, we done generated enough offense in the first half. We put our defense out there. I think the first 5 or 6 possessions, we kept our defense on the field. And then all of a sudden, the second half, they decided to wake up and play some football.
All right. Despite the loss, what were you most pleased about with your team's performance on Saturday?
Well, it's just like we talked about all the time. Listen, let's put that first half behind us.
Let's come out and let's play football. The one thing I will always be proud of these young men is, although it's up and down, I might have some some dips and valleys, but what they do is they will come out and they will fight. That's where I can tell where this culture is going. When the young men can literally look at each other, hold one another accountable, and say, we're not playing up to our standard. This isn't who we are, and go out and fight. So they fought in the second half. And that's one of the biggest things that I really appreciate, that they came out and fought. We just went in the locker room. We said it's 0-0. Let's come out. And we were able to generate most of that yardage in the second half and put up 2 scores.
All right. The season wraps up this weekend against Georgetown. What will you be looking to achieve in this final game of the season?
No, just trying to put a team together. Right now we are we're littered with injuries. We're patching guys together, duct tape, crazy glue, you name it. We Gorilla Glue, we have it all. But right now, once again, trying to finish this season strong. We'll love to finish we'll finish with a win. That's always your goal. That's always your deal. But at the same time, there are other little deals that you're building. Once again, you're finishing up the culture. You're trying to establish the culture. Once again, you're trying to establish who your identity, right? You're trying to establish your identity going into the spring. So those are some of the things we're looking to do.
All right, Coach, those are my questions for you. We'll now turn to the media for their questions, beginning with Mr. James Hill.
Good morning, Coach.
How you doing, Mr. Hill?
Pretty good, sir. What are your takeaways from the Ualbany game? And can you just talk a little bit about Taylor and Kimbrough and guys continuing to work to help Morgan build a winner?
Well, we talk about culture, right? And nothing against the previous regime. It takes a while. It takes trust. It takes more than just 2 or 3 guys. But those 3 names that you mentioned, these guys are locked in and they're loaded. There's no quitting them. And that's where like I said before, that's where you can understand and you see where the culture is starting to build. Kimbrough is a guy, he's just a work guy. Like I say all the time, he's an old school mentality, lunch pail, hard hat, and steel toe boot type of guy, man. And that's all he just wants to play football. And same thing with Taylor. Taylor's a young guy who's eager, who's willing, who's basically did a great job of being a backup quarterback. And when it's time to go, he plays, he shows it. And I'm excited, but we have to finish this thing and not get to the point where you win. I think Coach Odom alluded to it great. You got to learn how to win, but you also have to keep learning how to win. And for us and for Morgan State, it's understanding the process over and over and over and over, not the outcome, because the outcome is going to change. We had some inclement weather, right? We had rain delays. So those outcomes are going to be different. Each situation will be different, but the process never changes. And my process here is, physicality is a lifestyle. Football is always going to be a physical game. If you go out and you hit a guy, expect to be hit back. But at the same time, it's a physical football game. The next thing, looking back at the Albany game, was we did a really good job on defense limiting the running back. He had a big game the week before, but they went out and they played. But at the same time, it's the next man up. If someone goes down, opportunity, right? Everybody wants to say, I'm waiting for my shot. No, you are in control of your own destiny and learning how to create opportunity by doing your job. And that's the next thing we didn't really do well on Saturday, was do our job.
Coach, coming up this weekend, you'll get a look literally at the Georgetown Hoyas football program. And then after that game, you go into your off-season recruiting, education, graduation, continuing to build young men. Just talk about going into Saturday and then moving forward the Morgan State way, if you will.
Well, once again, you had Rob Spence, who was here at Morgan at one point in time. And a lot of times, you have coaches who was at a previous spot. They kind of feel like they have an insight. And one of the things I'm trying to do, and when you talk about the Morgan way, it's not the old Morgan way. And not to pick on Coach Millstat, but he said something that was very profound last week. Systemic, you ask a coach to come in to change something that has been systemically oppressed in your program for years. And Coach Millstat had mentioned too that Morgan State had been everyone's homecoming, right? And that was I'm not going to put Coach Milstad age out there, but that was many moons ago. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to right all those wrongs and right all those things and build a culture within my going into my third year, right? So looking at Georgetown, they're not having a great year, right? But they want to do the same thing. They want to end on a great note, to go into spring with some momentum, to help their recruiting. And it's basically, I want to say it's a DMV game. We recruit against some of the same guys, right? So this game holds a lot for us, as you talked about our graduating seniors. It's not the season that I would like to have won for them, but you want to end on a great note. You want to end on a great note. And then as you talk about looking forward to after the season, yes, now you get a chance to, because there's nowhere in the world you can outcoach recruiting, right? And I hate when coaches, I'm not going to say hate, I dislike when coaches say when they take a job, the cupboards were bare and all that stuff. You inherited. These are my guys. I inherited this. So I'm going to take it, right? And I'm going to take it over. And I got to make it in my likeness. And so that's what I'm going to do. Go out and recruit, finish recruiting the guys. And I would like to take my hat off to my AD for a second, because I can't go into the spring and talking about things, because I just mentioned the word systemic, right? He has helped this organization, and I just say organization because it's not just athletic department, it's Morgan State as a whole. And he has done a great job of helping me get things done so we can move in the right direction. So, I have to say kudos to him, because it has been a long fight and it's been arduous for him. And I understand the shots and bullets that he has taken, but just like anything else, and we talk, we as Black people understand what systemic racism is, right? But we also have to understand what systemic problems and issues that occur within the athletic program that can't be resolved overnight. And I just want to take my hat off to my AD and say that he is a frontline worker. He fights, he works, and it's not just for football, it's for my whole athletic department. But moving forward into the spring, as you talked about, now we get a chance to get some mid-year guys in. We get a chance to get healthy, and we really get a chance to sit down and you use the word education, because that's what this is all about. The young men in this program get a chance to now sit down and reveal and talk about what they saw and what did they go through. And really and truly, how do they change it? Because they are the playbook. They are the program. I'm just here to facilitate and help monitor it. But it's a nice task ahead of us, but it's one of that I'm really, really excited about, and I can't wait to get to.
Thank you, Coach. Good luck this week. And again, I always enjoy your memorabilia. I see a few things behind you. Tim Brown, that's nice. Yeah, have a great week, sir.
Thank you very much.
Do we have any more questions for Coach Wheatley? All right, Coach, thank you so much for being here with us today. Good luck this week, and we will see you next Monday.
Thank you.
Have a good one. Morgan State will host the Georgetown Hoyas this Saturday at Hughes Stadium in Baltimore, Maryland. The 12 p.m. game will be broadcast live on the Meac Digital Network on ESPN+. At this time, we would like to conclude today's press conference, but before we end, I'd like to thank all the media members who've been with us and participated today, the sports information offices for their assistance with today's call, and as always, the Meac would like to thank its corporate partners for their support. Our next and final call will be next Monday, November 22nd, beginning at 10 a.m. As always, for up-to-date news on Meac football and other sponsored sports, log on to meacsports.com, like the Meac on Facebook, and follow Meac Sports on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. And don't forget to subscribe to the Meac Digital Network on YouTube. Once again, everyone, thank you for being here and have a great week. We'll see you next Monday.